So I don't normally do this on this channel because I don't really see this channel as like an art education channel. I don't rate my my art skills enough to kind of think that I've got things to teach other people, but in this video I decided that it would be a good idea just to kind of do a quick demonstration of kind of how I get different values out of one single colour of ink there. And by different values, for those of you who aren't familiar with the art lingo, a value just refers to like the different shades of and the different brightnesses of one single colour. So yeah, this is my my Noodler's ink, and I've just got like just a watercolour brush here. Is it a watercolour brush? I don't know, it's just a brush. I don't know whether it's specifically meant for watercolour or anything. My first value is just going to be the brush just dipped straight into the ink, and you'll see here that gives one value, and I'm going to wipe my brush now. My second value, I'm gonna dip the brush into the watercolor. Sorry, not the watercolor. I'm gonna dip the brush into the ink, and then I'm gonna dip it into the water. But I'm not gonna swish it around in the water. I'm just gonna dip it in and then pull it straight back out again, like that. And then that's gonna give me a slightly lighter value because there's more water in it. Well, it should anyway. It hasn't actually in this instance. Oh well, whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna dry my brush again. Another thing you can do is dip the watercolor brush in the ink jar, dip it in the water, and then just kind of brush it up against the side of the water a little bit, just on the side of the, so like this bit here, just above the water line. You can kind of brush the brush against there a little bit, and then you can use that to and as you can see, that gives a lighter value this time. All this one seemed to do was just make it a little bit more watery, but you could always kind of brush that out a little bit, and then you could oh, actually no, you couldn't. A lot of this is about intuition, to be honest. And then I could dip that brush in a little bit more, and then I'd get like another value here. And if I wanted to lighten that a bit more, I could just dip it back in again and brush that out. Yeah, and then I could dip that in again, and then got like a very light value there. See? And I could dip it in again there, and then got an even lighter value. Whoop, here we go. Such a thin piece of card that I'm using here. We've got a lighter value again. Dip it in again. Lighter value. It's not really, it's a very micro change once we get down to this part here, but you know, really dip that in there, and then we've got this is almost completely white, but there's a slight grey tone to that still, and then can move along. And what happens as well is you can get different values by using the dry brush a little bit as well, where you can kind of wash your brush a little bit more, and then yeah, and basically you can get lots of different values just by depending on how much you dip your brush in the water. So if you wanted a very dark value, you could just dip straight in the ink and put that down on the paper. And then you can even, like, if you've done like a really dark bit of ink like that, I mean this is waterproof ink, but when it's still wet you can kind of manipulate that with the with the water there, and you can kind of, you know, just move it around and spread it out a bit more, and then it lighten it up like that. And you can kind of, now that you've got a bit more of a drier brush, you can do some different values over here. It gets a little bit lighter and things like that. And this is all about intuition, really. It's not an exact science, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you that, just so you knew how I was, if any of you didn't know how I was getting the different values in the picture that I was drawing, you know, that's kind of how I was doing it. And now that the water's quite, you know, cloudy, that means that you can pretty much sketch with that light colour there, and then you can kind of come back and darken that up in different, you know, steps. You can gradually make it darker as you go on and things, and you know, can just dip it straight in, maybe do a tiny bit, just a dollop of black there, go back in the water, and then just kind of brush it over there and stuff, and you know, you've kind of lightened it up a little bit like that, and stuff. And I don't know, there's loads of things you can do really to just change the value of this ink as you go on, just by, you know, just using your intuition and kind of playing it by ear a little bit, you know.